Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the Graham Chronofighter RAF trigger. You can see this 45mm left-hand trigger automatic chronograph on our website, purchase it there, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time to see our full listing for this watch with additional accessories included, high-resolution images, and naturally complete pricing details. On my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, this watch is the very archetype of the imagery that has defined Graham in the 2000s to the present. The watch is large, but not just large, a little bit outlandish. It has a persona that's flamboyant and raffish and, quite honestly, devoid of self-conscious self-examination. This is a watch to wear when you just want to have fun and you really don't care what anyone else thinks. In that sense, it's the ultimate basically shove-off type statement watch. The watch has a lot of attitude, and in that sense, it's actually a happy alternative to the typical Panerai, Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, and Hublot Big Bang that dominates that segment. So the watch is a little bit offbeat. It's also a lot oversized. Now, 45mm is the measurement across the round of the case. As you can already tell, the case doesn't really measure round because it has that huge trigger and crown assembly at the 9 o'clock station. The watch across that theoretical round portion is 45, but the measurement across the broad, that is from 3 to 9 out to the extremity of the crown, is a very robust 57mm. In terms of thickness, you'll note that the watch is 16mm thick, but really how compatible this is with a dress cuff or tight sleeve, should you choose to wear it that way, perhaps a bit out of character, it's going to be defined by how easily the sleeve clears that crown and trigger assembly. You will note that the watch has an elegant concave bezel, an unconventional styling element that really adds a little bit of differentiation from the mass of the case and the lugs. It's a little bit of a ebb and flow to the flanks of the case, a thoughtful element, something you typically see on Patek Philippe watches and very rarely elsewhere. The watch is full of that kind of blue sky thinking. Again, it's not afraid to be distinctively different, from the bezel to the crown to the trigger to the lugs. And the lugs span a reasonable 54mm across the broad. Now that's across the wrist, the horizontal measurement. 54 is not outlandish for a watch that at first glance seems like it should dwarf my 16cm wrist. I would actually say that you could wear the watch on a smaller wrist, maybe down to about 15 centimeters. And that largely because those lugs, as massive as they are, turn downward quite dramatically. So the watch has the look of being draped across the wrist rather than flaring out and stridently projecting beyond the flank of your forearm. This watch does sort of wrap itself around your wrist, and that's a good thing for those who like the look but wonder about how this huge watch is going to wear. Now, also to its credit, you can see that the strap can pull straight down. It has no tendency to flare out. Again, this is distinct from some of the oversized mainstays in the truly gigantic sports watch segment. So you can pull the strap down around the tight curve of a smaller wrist like mine, and what's attached to those lugs is actually quite handsome. A very substantial aviator style calf skin. You can see it's also punctuated by a contrasting yellow stitch, nicely keyed to the highlights of the dial. On the underside, more incredibly soft, and I mean butter smooth calfskin. This is one of the most supple and refined, almost oily, almost gelatinous straps I have ever encountered on a watch. Normally it takes years of wearing in a strap to get it to this point. This one is aesthetically new, and yet you'll note that same sensation. Graham really went above and beyond with this strap. It feels like $1 million. I'll also note that the pin buckle, oversized and outlandish like the rest of the watch, makes for easy adjustability on the fly. This being a sports watch, it's ready to adjust incrementally as your wrist expands and contracts in the course of the day. But what everyone wants to know when they encounter one of these Graham Chronofighters is, why is it a lefty and how does it work? Well, why is it a lefty? Easy enough, because when you actuate a chronograph, realistically, it's the opposable thumb of the right hand for a righty, and righties are the market, that will be the most articulate, the most able to activate the chronograph on the spur of the moment and without missed attempts. Think about trying to activate little chronograph pushers with the index finger. Not nearly as easy as the thumb and this ergonomically shaped activation trigger. You'll also note that once I've stopped the chronograph, I have excellent access to the reset trigger. So the logic of this, as crazy as it looks, works well. It works out from an ergonomic standpoint. Now the watch has one of the most elaborately modified Valjoux 7750 calibers I've seen, a modification performed by La Joux, which has a long-standing relationship with Graham and its parent firm, the British Masters. The column wheel, which you can see prominent on the crown and trigger side of the watch, gives this watch a crispness to its operation, a tactile and audible satisfaction to the action of using the chronograph. The act of using the chronograph is incredibly satisfying, whether you're looking at the watch from the dial side or the case back. Automatic winding with 28 joules, this La Joux built column wheel automatic 7750 variant is a unique hybrid of everything that makes the 7750 great: durability, reliability, efficient winding, and everything that makes a column wheel chronograph satisfying to use, namely that crisp tactile feedback and the sound, the crisp engagement and disengagement of the chronograph. Now, it does have the underlying benefits of the 7750 from a functional standpoint as well, not just tough and automatic winding in an efficient sense, but the watch features a crown that you can pull to extremity, hacking the balance for precise synchronization of the seconds to a known accurate reference time, and it does feature a quick set for the date, such that you can rapidly cycle the watch to correct the date if it runs down, or should you encounter an irregular length month. Naturally, the dial is fully luminescent, so this watch is as easy to see in the dark as it is in broad daylight. And believe me, wearing this watch, you will be seen. You can see it and you can buy it on our website.